Hello and welcome to IP Study video lectures, and today we are going to discuss chapter 9 from grade 7 social science, and the name of the chapter is exploring our environment. And in this chapter we are going to discuss few important topics like interaction between physical and biological environment, natural environment, ecosystem, human environment, and again human environment in context of India, and lastly towards sustainable development. So now let us discuss the chapter. So before we discuss what are the different topics of the chapter, it is important to understand the term environment. So when we talk about environment, the word environment itself has been derived from the French word environnement, which means the thing that are around us or that surround us. So that means environment refers to everything that surround us. It includes both living, non-living things in the natural in the nature. Okay, so that means all the air, water, or the landforms that we see, or the living beings like trees, animals, these are all part of our environment. So let us see here in this picture, right, our environment. So you can see landforms here, trees here, grasslands here. So these are all the part of our environment. That means these are the things that surround us or are around us. So these are all environment. So there are different components, right? So different components of environment can be broadly classified into two types: natural environment and human environment. So when we talk about natural environment, it includes physical and biological element. So what does physical and biological element means? Physical element comprises or includes all the non-living or abiotic components. Okay, non-living or abiotic components such as land, water, air, or landforms, or different features of land. These are non-living. On the other hand, biological environment comprises of biotic or living organism like animals, plants, trees, microorganism. So all these living components falls under biological element. So now human environment. So on the other hand, we have discussed natural environment. Now human environment. Human environment comprises humans and their creations like creations, activities, and other social cultural factors like social, political, or economical elements. So all this comes under human environment. To understand this in a better way, we can make it a flow map or a flow chart. So environment, when I say environment, it can be broadly classified into natural and human. Okay, I'm using the shortcut so that we don't waste time. So under natural, we have different elements or two broadly division of elements. Firstly is physical and secondly is biological. So physical refers to non-living or abiotic. On the other hand, biological refers to biotic or living. Okay, and on the other hand, human environment refers to the human or their creation. So this is the simple flow map, and with this we can actually have a clear understanding of environment and its classification. So let us now see how there is an interaction between physical and biological environment. Okay, so physical and biological environment are interrelated, and there is an interaction between them in the form of transfer of energy or matter, right? Physical environment, it obtains its energy from the sun or the solar energy. Okay, that means changes in its biotic element like air, water, or landform features, it is directly or indirectly related to sun or solar energy. Okay, that means whatever changes happens in our surrounding, it is directly or indirectly related to solar or sunlight or sun. Okay, so that means when there is a change in our surrounding or in this element, like there is a change in wind, air, or landform, it also affects the biological environment. Okay, because why? Let us see this point. Because the biotic element or the living organism depends on abiotic or non-living element for their survival. Okay, such as plants produce food with the help of sunlight, air, soil, Or on the other hand, animals depend on plants. So that means there is a interaction between the physical and biological environment or components. Okay. So now let us see how biotic element influence or affect the physical environment, right? Plant, it releases oxygen in the air. That means there is a change in the physical environment. On the other hand, animals like rabbit, it digs the surface of the earth and makes the soil loose. That means there is a change or it affects the physical environment. Humans play a very important role, right? Because humans, with their various activities like agriculture, cutting of trees or mining, it changes the physical environment. So this is how biotic element also affects the physical environment. So there is an interaction between physical and biological environment. See, let us see here the components of environment. I think we have already discussed here, but see, the natural air, water, or we can say hydrosphere, atmosphere, biosphere, lithosphere, these are all the part of natural environment. On the other hand, if you see the human environment or components, people or individual, family, religion, education, economy, these are all social cultural elements. This comes under human. On the other hand, human made, all the creations of human, right? Like buildings, parks, bridges, roads, monuments. So these are all created or built by human. So they come under human made environment. Okay. So now let us see natural environment. So the biotic and abiotic components of the natural environment forms 4 realms or domains of the earth. And these are atmosphere, hydrosphere, lithosphere or biosphere. Okay, so atmosphere related to air, hydrosphere related to water, lithosphere land and biosphere related to living organism. Now let us discuss about atmosphere. So atmosphere is the gaseous layer of air that surrounds the earth. Okay, and it is held by the earth's gravitational force. So when we talk about the composition of the atmosphere, nitrogen is the most abundant gas and it constitutes 78% of the total amount of gas. Okay, following the nitrogen, oxygen is the second most abundant gas and it comprises 21%. There are other important gases like carbon dioxide and it is responsible for keeping the earth's temperature warm. Okay, apart from these gases, we also have water vapor and it is very important for precipitations. Okay, so now let us discuss the structure of the atmosphere. So when we talk about structure of the Earth's atmosphere, there are 5 important layers. Firstly, troposphere, it is the bottommost or the first layer of the Earth's atmosphere, and it is in this layer all the weather phenomena occurs. Following the troposphere, we have stratosphere. An important characteristic of stratosphere is the presence of ozone layer, and ozone plays an important role in protecting us from the harmful ultraviolet rays of the sun. After that, we have mesosphere, and it is the coldest layer. Okay. After mesosphere, there is thermosphere, and thermosphere is important because we can find ionosphere over there, and ionosphere plays an important role in radio communication or wireless communication. And lastly, exosphere. Exosphere is the uppermost or the last layer and it merges with space. Now let us discuss another important realm of the earth or the environment, that is hydrosphere. So hydrosphere refers to all the water bodies of the earth's surface such as oceans, seas, rivers, ponds, lakes and so on. Okay, about 71% of the earth's surface is covered by water. However, we find we do have water scarcity. Why? Because out of these 100%, 97% of the water is present in the form of salty water or saline water in ocean and seas. That means we cannot use them. The rest remaining 3% we find it in rivers, lakes or even trapped in glacier or ice sheet. One thing we have to understand, the water is in continuous movement. Okay. If you see here this diagram, this is water cycle or hydrological cycle. Here we can see that water is evaporating from the water bodies. It goes up in the atmosphere where it forms a cloud because of the condensation, and once it condenses and become water droplets, it again come down as precipitation and fall downs in the lithosphere or hydrosphere. That means the water is in a continuous movement. So this is called water cycle or hydrological cycle. Now let us see another layer, that is lithosphere. Okay, so now the lithosphere is derived from the Greek word lithos or litho meaning stone. Okay, if we look at this, see, it is the uppermost solid layer of the earth is called the lithosphere. Okay, and if you see the structure of lithosphere or the interior of the earth, we find three important layers. Firstly, crust, followed by mantle, and lastly core. Okay, so crust is the uppermost and most thinnest layer, and then we have mantle, and the innermost layer is the core. And lithosphere is very much important because it provides space for our settlements. Human makes our buildings, homes or other infrastructure on the space provided by lithosphere. Also for food, agriculture or animal husbandry, all of these activities is done on the space provided by lithosphere. And we cannot forget the mining industry, because the minerals or all the valuable minerals we get by extracting minerals or resources from the lithosphere. So now let us see the last realm, that is biosphere. So when we talk about biosphere is the narrow zone where water, land, air interact to sustain life. Okay, so if I have to make a small chart, suppose this is lithosphere, suppose this is hydrosphere, and suppose this is atmosphere. This portion is the biosphere, and it is in this portion that sustains life. Okay, so all the animals, insects, everything like trees, plants, everything, all the living organism, it exists on the biosphere. So we can understand the importance of the biosphere. So now let us see ecosystem. So when we talk about ecosystem, the biosphere is made up of distinctive zones called ecosystem. Okay, so an ecosystem forms when community of living, that is biotic, and non-living, that is abiotic, they interact with each other in a specific environment through transfer of energy or matter. Okay, so ecosystem forms when community of living and non-living, they interact in a specific environment through transfer of energy and matter. So these can include plants, animal, microorganism. These are all biotic, and abiotic like soil, land, water, and the interaction between them and dependent upon each other for their survival. For example, ecosystem can be small like pond ecosystem, or it can be very big like the evergreen forest ecosystem. Also, ecosystem that exist on the land are called terrestrial ecosystem. Land, terrestrial, and those ecosystem that we can find on water is called aquatic ecosystem. Okay, so now let us discuss types of ecosystem. So ecosystem can be classified into two types based on their origin. Okay, firstly natural ecosystem and artificial ecosystem. So natural ecosystem refers to those ecosystem that has developed without the interference of human, that has developed naturally, like forest, ocean, grassland, deserts. These all ecosystem have developed naturally without the interference of human beings. On the other hand, artificial ecosystems, it has been formed or created by humans for a specific purpose. It can be gardens, zoo, parks, aquariums, farms. So these are all created by humans. So these are artificial ecosystem. So now let us see human environment, right? So although natural environment provide us enough resource for human survival, however, we should understand that not all of these resources can be utilized directly. As such, human interacted and modified their physical environment to fulfill certain needs. Yes, we see different infrastructure like roads, buildings. Why did humans build it? To fulfill their needs. However, we should understand since the beginning, humans, they have adapted and they have changed according to their physical environment, right? In the beginning, humans, they had very less demand. Their needs were just survival. But with time, humans' demand and their needs also changed. With the increase in population, they understood that they have to modify and they have to utilize more resources. For this reason, humans, they started clearing forests, they started killing animals. Why? To fulfill their needs, right? And this act of humans, it has created an adverse impact on the environment. We can see that many of the species of plants and animals have gone extinct, and many are on the verge of extinction. Another important, global warming, right? Because it is because of the human activities, the amount of carbon dioxide has increased in the air, and which has trapped the heat, leading to the slow increase in the temperature of the earth, causing global warming. So when we talk about human environment in the context of India, India had made sure that it achieved its prosperity or welfare of the people by safeguarding the environment on the other hand. Okay, so that means it has moved toward sustainable development. We have heard about many environment conservation campaigns or movement in India, such as Chipko movement. Chipko movement aimed at protecting the Himalayan forest. On the other hand, we can also hear, or we also heard about many anti-dam campaigns that was aimed to protect the environment, the river, and also the traditional fisher communities. We should also understand that the government of India had also positively responded by enforcing many laws to protect the forest, its wildlife, and also to stop pollution to certain extent. So now let us see the economic policies and environmental impact in India. Okay, the new economic policies of 1991 guided India towards globalization. Okay, India opened its economy for global investment. So this resulted in many sectors being privatized. Okay, at the same time, the environmental regulation and laws, it was made less rigid so that the industry and commerce could thrive. So implementation of these new policies that actually helped industry led to the increase in export and production of minerals, marine fisheries, and other industry. However, it also led to widespread destruction of environment, such as overfishing and intensive aquaculture in the marine or coastal waters of India. It led to widespread destruction of marine life and at the same time displacement of traditional fishing communities. So now, to protect the environment and also the traditional livelihood of many fishing communities, Supreme Court intervened and in 1996 gave a historical judgment that prohibited non-traditional aquaculture across India. So this made sure that the environment, at the same time traditional livelihood of many fishing communities were protected. So now the last topic of the chapter, towards sustainable development. Now the government understood the gravity of the situation. So government, in association with different people's group, they prepared environmental sensitive plans, regulations and safeguard, such as environmental impact assessment and coastal regulation zone. Now the environmental impact assessment has been designed to make development projects which are ecologically sensitive. Okay. On the other hand, coastal regulation zone makes accessing the natural resources for commercial activities more difficult. So now let us see the remarkable steps towards the sustainable development. Okay. Firstly, spread and promotion of organic farming. So now organic farming has been promoted in different states. And what does organic farming means? Organic farming means farming without the use of chemical or fertilizers, using traditional manure and methods. Secondly, encouragement of women's self-help group that manufacture products that are based on natural resources. Thirdly, decentralized water harvesting system and facilities has been promoted and encouraged in different drought areas of Rajasthan, such as Alwar. Fourthly, government has focused on the holistic development of villages. Why? To stop the village-city migration. And what does it mean? Normally people move from villages to cities or town in search of better opportunities. So government, by focusing on the development of the villages, tends to stop this migration. And lastly, steps has been taken to protect environment, forest and wildlife in many states and villages of India. So with this, we have come to the end of the chapter, and now let us summarize the important points that we have studied in this chapter. Firstly, the term environment has been derived from the French word environnement, which means the things that are in our surrounding. Environment can be classified into two types, natural and human environment, right? The natural environment refers to physical and biological element or the environment which is created without the interference of humans. Okay, the four major domains of the earth or the realms of the environment are lithosphere, hydrosphere, atmosphere and lastly biosphere. Ecosystem, where biotic and abiotic things, they interact in the matter of there is a transfer of energy or matter between them in a specific environment. It is called ecosystem. Ecosystem can be big or small, like pond ecosystem or forest ecosystem. And lastly, human environment includes human and all the things created by humans, like buildings, infrastructure, roads and other things. Okay, so I hope I was able to clear all your doubts regarding this chapter, and we will again meet in our next session. Thank you.